family, siblings. My sister and my little brother and I are great friends. We do a lot of stuff together. And one funny time with my little brother, he was 17, and I was 24, and he decided to take the garden hose at our house and spray me. You know, a little brother just kind of do that sort of thing. So I ran to him, I grabbed him, and I wrestled him to the ground. And I was heavier than him, so he couldn't get up. But the nozzle on the hose was still pouring out water onto his chest and all over him, and it was cold. So he looks at me, okay, it's time to let him up. And I look back and like, you started this water fight. We'll just kind of keep. So about 2 minutes later, after he was quite cold, I let him up. But siblings can have fun together. How many of you have brothers or sisters? How many grew up with brothers or sisters? Several people have, good. The account from the gospel today from John chapter 11 is about two sisters and a brother. Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And Lazarus takes sick, and he's off in the distance in Galilee, and where Mary and Martha and Lazarus were in Bethany near Jerusalem, some of the religious leaders are wanting to kill Jesus. They were real angry. And so, but they sent a message, Lazarus, the one you love, is sick. But Jesus stays an extra 2 days and then says to his apostles, the 12, we're going to go back to Lazarus because our brother is sleeping. And they say to Jesus, it's kind of a riddle, well, if he's sleeping, he'll wake up. We don't need to go back there. They're just trying to kill us. And he says, well, no, actually, he's died, but he's going to come back to life. There'll be a resurrection. They don't quite understand. One of the guys, Thomas, who was called Doubting Thomas at the end when he didn't see Jesus on the Sunday night of the resurrection, he says, let us go with him that we can die with him. He was loyal to Jesus, but he wasn't very optimistic. He was a pessimist. But they go back there, and Lazarus has been dead 4 days. And the sister Martha goes out just outside of the town and meets Jesus, and she's crying. And she says, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. A number of the friends around said, look, he could open the eyes of the blind man. Surely he could have stopped this sick man from dying. And Jesus gives them words of comfort. She goes back and tells her sister Mary. Mary runs out and says the same thing. Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. And Jesus says to her, well, let me read the words that Jesus says. He says, your brother will rise again. And Mary says, I know that on the last day, all of us will rise again. There will be a resurrection on the last day. And then Jesus says to her, I am the resurrection and the life. It's not just, something could happen out there, but he's the source of the resurrection. He's the source of life. And Mary puts her trust in him. And then he says, take me to the tomb. And they go to the tomb, and he sees Mary and Martha crying. And the shortest verse in the whole Bible, 2 words, is Jesus wept. He cried. He shared in their sorrow. But then he says, roll away the stone. And is it Mary or Martha? I forget which says, Lord, he's been in there 4 days. It's a hot climate. He'll smell. And he says, roll away the stone. And he says in a loud voice, Lazarus, come out. And Lazarus comes back to life, resurrected. And those words of Jesus, I am the resurrection and life. He who believes in me will not die. Whoever lives and believes in me, though he dies, yet shall he live. So what this means for us is that, every night you go to sleep. And it's a time of quiet and you wake up the next day. And dying will be like going to sleep. But Jesus is going to raise us up, and everyone that trusts him, he promises that you will go to heaven. And he loves you. And he calls us to trust in him and to pray for our family with confidence in him that they too will trust. So Jesus is the resurrection and the life. He loves you. He's conquered death in his own self. And he's here right now. We receive him in communion because he's with us. Amen.
Amen.
Amen.